7 o'clock and 10 after 7. Would you all please rise for the pledge of allegiance? The county council is now called to order.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. Law, would you have optional prayer implication for us
Yes,
today?
I do, Mr. Chairman. Let us pray. How happy we are when we get it right. We strengthen the trust that others have in us. It makes our existence more accepting to others. When we owned up to and took our responsibilities to make things better, the relief and freedom we feel when we are on the right path. We struggle to leave a legacy of those who were honest and trusted. With God's help, we will accomplish all that we have set out to do. We ask for that help in God's name. Amen.
Amen. Roll call, Mr. Smith, please.
Mr. Brenneman?
Here.
Mr. DiMatteo?
Here.
Mrs. Spatica?
Here.
Dr. Faust?
Here.
Mr. Leone?
Here.
Mrs. Law?
Here.
Chairman Horton?
Here. We're on item 4, and this is one of the more fun things that we get to do here at council.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm going to call my colleague forward, Mr. Brenneman. He's going to present a citation to the Youth Leadership Institute and Mr. Edison Nichols and his youth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If I can get the young folks and also Crystal from the Youth Leadership Institute, et cetera. Go ahead and come forward around the podium. I feel so underdressed today. Everybody came in dressed. I thought I was trying to be a little casual today, but well, first off, so we have a presentation we have a citation to present to the Youth Leadership Institute of Erie and the Student Ambassador Leadership Team SALT. I'm just going to read part of this. Global Youth Service Day is an annual celebration honoring those who have contributed to their communities through voluntary commitment, designed to encourage youth to participate in community service and service learning. It was launched in 1988 and is coordinated by the Youth Service America. And whereas the Youth Leadership Institute of Erie, along with their Student Ambassador Leadership Team, hit the ground running on 2016 Global Youth Service Day, tackling hunger and homelessness, the elderly and veterans, children and youth, and special needs children. They helped Emmaus Soup Kitchen, provided 200 brownies, PB&J sandwiches, and 400 cookies for the homeless, planted garden boxes, and cleaned up the grounds of the Soldiers and Sailors Home and Safe Nets residential garden. They did a cleanup and provided new toys, books, and art supplies for their supervised visit rooms at the Office of Children and Youth. Performing this work and much more helped them to exceed their goal of reaching 20 locations in Erie County by 100%. And whereas SALT will be going to various sites in the area this summer to further their imprint on the community, investigating homelessness, hunger, and teen violence, form committees to research and develop a presentation from the youth perspective regarding these important issues plaguing the city, and display this compilation at their Salute to Volunteerism Gala in November of this year. Now therefore be it resolved, the members of Erie County Council join with the grateful citizenry in applauding the efforts of Youth Leadership Institute of Erie and the Student Ambassador Leadership Team for their commitment, dedication to civic duty, and their desire to impact the community in such a constructive and positive manner. If everybody could please give a round of applause. And before I turn over to you, I just have to say that to you specifically, this is what will change Erie. This is what will lead Erie. You know, we can run for office, we can be elected officials and change things that we believe we can change. But what really changes our community is young people getting involved and stepping forth and not being afraid and trying to affect change at the local level. You are what will lead Erie into the future. And I applaud you personally for the efforts, and as well as my colleagues here. And please go ahead, and again, if anybody else would like to speak on this as well.
I just want to say thank you to County Council Member Jay Brenneman for giving us this award. This is truly empowerment. Our young people going back out into the community and serving our community, giving back. And they're not in the paper or on the news for other things. They're in the news for doing something positive in our community. And I just want to say thank you to the entire county council. Thank you.
Now they're very shy.
You guys want to shake hands?
Yeah, please come right on down through the line.
Hello. Wonderful job. Congratulations. I'm going to talk to you too.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
One that I want to hesitate. You can't say anything.
Thank you again, Mr. Nicholson, and the Global Youth Leadership. I read in the paper all the really wonderful, great things that you're involved in. We appreciate you here in Erie County. Next on the agenda will be the hearing of the public. For those who've called in, they're allotted 5 minutes. Anyone else who wants to speak during this portion of the service of the meeting will be allotted 3 minutes. First up is Mr. Randy Barnes.
We need agenda.
Good evening, Council, Chairman Horton, Council members, administration, guests. My name is Randy Barnes. I reside in the Dr. Faust District. And when I'm looking at the agenda, GEIDC concerns, I think this is like maybe the 2-year anniversary of those GEIDC concerns. I can remember being in Councilwoman Lowell's district at Northwest High School 2 years ago, talking about GEIDC concerns. My specific concern has been for the past month is why the county has refused to address this directors and officers insurance that the board of GEIDC paid for, most likely with taxpayers' money. They buy a policy, so if they do things that really aren't proper, that have really run afoul of the best terms of business and decisions should be made, they're protected against lawsuits. And again, no one from the administration or from the county courthouse has reached out and want to explain why we wouldn't want to go after an insurance policy that, again, more than likely was paid for by taxpayers' money in order to recoup any part of the $3 million of taxpayers' money that we were told 3 months ago we have no chance of getting. And I realize that you do have to prove there was a lot of wrong things done by the directors and officers. And I think there's plenty of evidence to show, just like, for instance, that the directors and officers chose to pay 3 and 4 times the assessed value of property. The directors and officers approved, I assume, many loans that amounted to more than what the property was worth. I can tell you from my experience, if I go to the bank, I can't get a loan for more than what property is worth. But there were bankers on the board that thought that was okay. Some of those bankers on the board made those loans through their own bank. Now we know that bankers like to make loans because they hope to get their money back, but they instantly get fees for originating loans. So there's an incentive to make loans. But to the rest of us, we do not get loans for more than property is worth, but to the GEIDC got loans for 3 and 4 times what the property is worth. We know that several $1 million and part of the county's money was spent for a rail terminal. And 2 years ago, I told you that there was no need for a rail terminal because there was no interest by businesses in this community for a rail terminal. Now, 2 years later, we spent close to $200,000 to confirm what many people that are in the business community already knew. If you drive around and you know the businesses within a 50-mile radius of Erie, you know the ones that have loading docks, and you know the ones that transport a lot of material with trucks. But for some reason, the directors and officers of the GEIDC chose to ignore that simple fact. There was no need, no want, no interest in a rail terminal, but yet proceeded to spend millions of dollars and part of the county's $3 million on property for a rail terminal that there was no need for. You know, when I go through this bankruptcy filing, a lot of interesting things in here. One of the most interesting things I find was at the end of March, they had to list everybody's liens, mortgages they had against the property at the end of March. Well, 7 days, just 7 days before the bankruptcy filing, $9 million was paid to Citizens Bank. 7 days before the bankruptcy filing. 7 days. On April 15th, $9 million was paid to Citizens Bank. And on April 22nd, they filed for bankruptcy. So why did that take place? Why? Well, I started looking at the affiliates, the boards of the GEIDC. And lo and behold, was there not a vice president of Citizens Bank on one of those boards? Did that have anything to do with taking $9 million from a company that was going to file bankruptcy in 7 days and giving it to the Citizens Bank? Look through the filing, there's liens from Erie Bank. Now, is there any coincidence that there were people, vice presidents of Erie Bank on these boards, lending money on land at 3 and 4 times the value of the land? And you go through the back and you see the unsecured creditors, and of course that's where Erie County lies. We gave them $3 million to buy land, but we never had the foresight to say, hey, make sure that we have some lien against that land. We just said take the $3 million and buy land and then borrow more money against the land and make sure those people have mortgages and they have their lien holders.
Need your 5 minutes.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity. Yes, sir, Chairman.
Mr. Burns, please stay until after my report, because you're part of it, okay?
Okay. You know I don't like this take because the whole minutia.
I know that. It won't take long.
I will. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. Next up is Larry Byrne. Larry Byrne.
Thank you. I just want to take a moment, thank you, Kathy Fatika, also for giving us the time to welcome you to Asbury Woods. I also wanted to thank Kathy Dolcamper and the county for their support of our acquisition project through the Erie County's Greenways program. Thanks to you and Mill Creek Township and the state through the DCNR grants program, and of course the support of the community. In 2 days, we will be purchasing Asbury Woods from the Mill Creek Township School District. And by doing so, we'll preserve this community asset in perpetuity. So let me welcome you all to the Woods, where 130,000 people visit every year, along with 20,000 students. For nearly 50 years, Asbury Woods has been a treasured forest in a sea of development, a place that adds so much to the quality of our life here. Along with Presque Isle and other green spaces, we provide a refuge for the fast-paced world we all live in, and also preserves the natural resources of our county. The community has also come to love our traditions here at Asbury Woods, our annual Maple Festival, Winter Wonderland events. And right now in the summer months, as you can see, it's camp time, nature camp. So hundreds of kids are getting their boots wet and their fingernails dirty, exploring every inch of the 205 acres of Asbury Woods. Not only that, but Asbury Woods is an outdoor classroom, as many of you know. We're well known for our award-winning E-STEM curriculum. We use the environment to teach science, technology, engineering, and math. And this acquisition really means that the doors of Asbury Woods have just opened. And by that I mean school districts all over Erie County will now benefit from the 50 years we built this curriculum with the school district. This is an exciting time in our history, and we're poised for growth. This past year was critical and important to preserving the legacy of Otto Barron, who donated this land in 1957. This successful acquisition ensures that we will continue to provide the environmental education and recreational opportunities for students in the community. I want to thank you again for being part of this journey and supporting this unique, beloved community asset that makes Erie County such a special place to live. Thank you.
Next up is Matthew Exley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of council, County Executive Al Kemper. Several months ago, you guys were presented with some information on special needs, autistic individuals, and things like that in emergencies. Mrs. Fatika came to me shortly thereafter, and we engaged in a conversation regarding how do we handle these individuals, in emergencies, in times of crisis. That kind of hits home to me a little bit because my oldest son is actually on the autism spectrum. He has Asperger's syndrome. So we got into a conversation, and she asked me here tonight to kind of give you a little bit of an update as to how that conversation has flourished and turned into something a little bit bigger than us. So after that conversation that we had, we formed a committee within Mill Creek Township. We try to be in Mill Creek Township emergency management a little bit progressive, and sometimes that's easier to do on the municipal level just because we're a little smaller. So we started a committee, started talking about things, and we realized that we're not the experts in this. I deal with it on a daily basis, but certainly I don't know everything there is to know about it. So we pulled in some individuals from the places that are experts, and we decided to expand it a little bit beyond just folks on the autism spectrum, but people with vulnerable populations, for example, whether that be deaf and hard of hearing, visually impaired, things like that. How do we handle any of these folks during emergencies? Because it's really kind of foreign to us as emergency responders. And as we got to talking about this in this committee, we had the opportunity. I became the Western Area President of the Keystone Emergency Management Association, which is a statewide gathering of emergency management directors. We found the opportunity to take this, again, bigger than us. So what your initial inquiry to us has turned into is a statewide effort and a statewide committee that is coming together, and we're getting best practices developed. And what we're going to be able to do is take these best practices that this committee comes up with and be able to spread it across the state, across the counties, and be able to give emergency managers, whether they're on the local, county, or state level, the best practices to be able to help these folks during times of need and times of crisis. So just wanted to kind of present you with a little bit of an update as to where we are and where we're going with that. Thank you. Yep.
Any other of the public that wishes to be heard at this time? Being none, seeing none, we'll move on to item 6.
Move for the adoption of the
Second.
May 31st regular meeting.
It's been properly moved by Mr. Leon and seconded by Councilman Brenneman for the acceptance of the minutes. Are you ready for any discussion? Any amendments? Are you ready for the question? Roll call, please.
On the minutes, Mr. Brenneman?
Yes.
Mr. DiMatteo?
Yes.
Mrs. Fatika?
Yes.
Dr. Faust?
Yes.
Mr. Leon?
Yes.
Mrs. Law?
Yes.
Chairman Horton?
Yes. Item 7, reports of county officials. County executive, should have a report.
Mr. Chairman, I was asked to use the microphone because supposedly the mics aren't so good on that table, so I'm up here. First of all, it's great to be out here at Asbury Woods, and thank you, Larry, and your staff. It's a beautiful place you have, and you're doing great things for the community. And Matt, that was great news to hear in terms of emergency management and where we're going. And so sticking on kind of that great news, I wanted to share a number of things with council that I think you'll be pleased to hear, and with the public in general. On May 5th, the Erie County Prison was inspected by the Pennsylvania Office of County Inspections and Services, which is responsible for maintaining a statewide program of independent and field inspections of all county prisons. And they come a minimum of every 12 months and a maximum of every 24 months to each prison to see how we're doing. And I have to say with pride that we have gotten a verbal from the inspectors that the Erie County Prison is 100% in compliance, and we're awaiting that formal letter, but it's a great achievement. It's very, very rare for a county prison to receive 100%, and I thank Warden Sutter and his entire staff for the hard work that they do every day in often a very, very difficult environment. So I wanted you all to know that. Good news. And then moving on to even greater news, Matt talked about being best practices for the state. We have been recognized nationally here in Erie County in 3 different areas. We are receiving 3 NACO awards this year, and we are receiving 2 within the health department. We have been selected for an achievement award in the health category for Pumped for Work, which is mini grants that we award to local businesses, organizations, and nonprofits that work on having positive, good lactation policies for their employees. And so this is a great achievement, and we've been recognized as sort of best in practice in this area. We've also been recognized for the Lake Erie Harmful Algae Bloom Monitoring and Response Strategy. We have a private public partnership task force on this, and that task force has also been recognized nationally as best practices. And then we received word that we got a 3rd NACO award in the Office of Children and Youth. And again, very excited that we've been able to do this. And it's in terms of a transition program that we have where we place independent living adult children with support and skills and what they need to be self-sufficient. And so the OCY office has also been awarded. So we will be at the National Convention in Long Beach. I won't be there, but we will be receiving 3 awards for Erie County, and I'm very proud of what we've been able to accomplish. And I often say we do great things here, and it's nice to get recognized for really leading the nation in some of the things we do. A couple other things I wanted to bring up. So last month, I had put forward a nomination for the Erie County Redevelopment Authority Board seat, and I'm asking County Council to give me an up or down vote on that. And I know that would have to be next month, but I have an open seat. No one has expressed to me any reason why the candidate I have chosen should not be qualified for that seat, and any reason in terms of why she should not be put forward and why my nomination should be put forward. I know there's been rumors to me that it's because she's a county employee. We currently, and I believe this happened within the last year, nominated a county employee for another authority within Erie County. We have most of the directors and many other employees in county government who sit on numerous boards, voting members of many organizations that are directly tied to county government. And so what I'm asking for is simply give me a vote, up or down. And if it's an up vote, fine. And if it's a down vote, then I need to go find another person for that position. But until I know if I have a vote up or down, I don't know what to do. And I need to get that position filled. So I would appreciate if County Council would bring that forward at the next meeting. And lastly, I have a statement on EMTA that I would like to read. In late September of 2014, along with Mayor Sinnott, I received a letter from EMTA informing my office that the EMTA charter is to expire on September 14th of 2016. My administration contacted the mayor's office for a meeting to discuss the charter at that time. Unfortunately, it took the mayor's office over 3 months to agree to a time for this meeting, and we finally met on January 15th, 2015. At this meeting, I proposed a charter that was more reflective of the regional vision the Destination Erie plan laid out for Erie County Transit. To the mayor, I proposed the adoption of a charter with a basically 3-3-3 allocation of board appointments. 3 seats on the EMTA executive board given to the other municipalities within Erie County, the city of Corey, 1 to the Township Association, and 1 to the Borough Association. The city of Erie to have 3 appointments, and the county government to keep 3 appointments. The mayor quickly rejected my proposal and informed me that he was only interested in upholding the status quo by renewing the charter as is for another 50 years. Shortly after this meeting, I spoke with then Council Chairman Fiore Leone. As the charter would need to be passed by both councils, we agreed that County Council would work to negotiate the agreement with City Council. We all have experienced great frustration trying to negotiate a compromise with the City of Erie. We here all want what's best for the entire Erie County region. I, as well as many of you, have had numerous conversations with PennDOT representatives and have worked to try and resolve the EMTA charter issue. At this point, there is much at stake. There are jobs, 280 employees of EMTA. There are 275,000 riders a month who depend on the transit system to take them to work, school, the doctors, and other places in Erie County. There is a $36 million construction project at stake, money that likely will be spent elsewhere in Pennsylvania if there is not a resolution to the charter issue. Finally, there's the regional view of mass transit that is truly in jeopardy. With all of these things at stake, I do not believe this is a time for us to walk away from it. Walking away is not a solution that has the best interests of Erie County in mind and doesn't add value for all of those residents that we represent. I think it's important to remember that unless a rider is a visitor to our region, everyone who rides EMTA is from the county. And 100% of the bus routes are in the county. So this is not a city versus county issue. This also should not be an issue about control. An authority should be autonomous from the direct control of elected officials. The appointment to authority will still be made by elected officials, but the board should make their decisions independently. I appoint intelligent, skilled citizens who I believe are capable of making good decisions, and I know you as county council do too. With all of this said, I do not believe it's in the best interest of the citizens of Erie County to have a regional authority controlled by one of 38 municipalities. I believe they will be best served if the authority has representation from all municipalities. To date, I've not seen a proposal that does this. I would like to put forward to County Council and to the City of Erie a proposal that does just that. A proposal that has 3 representatives from the City of Erie, 1 from the City of Corey, 1 from the Township Association, 1 from the Borough Association, and 3 from Erie County government. I also propose that the county pay the local match. I have listened to council, and I agree with Dr. Faust's proposal that county government pay that entire match. I know this deviates from my previous position last fall, but having thought about this at great length, I see its merit. All citizens are county citizens, and none should be double taxed for transit services. I believe County Council has put forward some very good proposals regarding the creation of an advisory council and the length of the charter. I would like to see a charter that does not extend beyond 20 years and prefer one that is capped closer to 15 years. With the rapid changes happening in technology and our world in general, future leaders evaluating the passage of a new charter need to have the opportunity to respond to those changes. I'm asking Council to reconsider the resolution to walk away from EMTA. I do not believe that this is in the best interest of the people that we are here to serve. Instead, I'm asking you to consider my proposal or comparable draft language that we can work on together to put forward. After that, I'm hopeful that the City of Erie will take up our proposal and negotiate. You may wonder what is different now. One of the city's complaints has been that we haven't seen a reasonable alternative to their initial proposal. If we're paying the entire match and still give them 3 seats on the board, as well as giving participation in their fellow municipalities, I believe we are sending over a very reasonable proposal. I know we all want what's best for Erie County. I thank you for considering what I have put forward tonight. I look forward to resolving this issue soon so that we can all get back to the main issue, and that's serving the residents of the Erie region. So thank you very much for allowing me to speak tonight.
Thank you. Yes. Finance report, Dr. Faust, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Last Thursday, council met as a finance committee and agreed to put the following items on tonight's agenda. They are ordinances number 37 for a second reading tonight, and also under new business ordinances numbers 45 through 51. And for the issues of timeliness, we discussed moving those to second readings tonight to vote on them and pass them, hopefully anyway. Also, resolutions number 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, and 32. And the possible reappointment of Elspeth Coley to the Library Board, Mary Scatella to the Library Board, and also the sale of parcels from repository for unsold properties according to the index numbers listed in our agenda tonight. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Brenneman?
Mr. Chair, the Personnel Committee met immediately following the Finance Committee, and we agreed to move items F and G under new business to the agenda. That concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. Now we'll have reports of county officials. We'll start with Mr. Leon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sorry about that lengthy wait there, Randy. This year I've been relatively quiet on many issues. That quiet individual is no longer here. I've listened to all citizens as they spoke to our council caucuses and our meetings. As I indicated at a past meeting, I said Mr. Barnes' comments and views were correct. He stated that we need to be more vigilant. The court case of GEIDC Chapter 11. In asking for and obtaining the court document in a bankruptcy case, no lawyers, that includes the county executive's lawyer or the lawyer for the GEIDC, were present. Let's look at who appeared and further who was getting paid. There are 19 lawyers involved in this proceeding. Only 10 showed up according to the court papers. As I have indicated previously, the attorneys are no longer the second oldest profession. They are the oldest profession in the world, present company accepted. I was under the impression that the county executive lawyer was handling our end of this case. Perhaps I'm mistaken, but who's looking out for the county's concerns? As an addition to this, the lawyer from GEIDC was paid $37,500. When I see this, it reflects toward Erie County, even though we had no involvement in this issue. On May 17, 2016, we passed unanimously resolution number 20, that this administration not only request a forensic audit, but that the county administration continue to pursue all attempts for repayment through the bankruptcy proceedings. Hopefully, that would have included the county solicitor. I feel for any forensic audit, we need to ask our CPA to hire an individual to do just that. Records sent to me by Mr. Maloney indicated that GEIDC had $17,617,373 in the beginning of the year. What happened to these funds? How can this happen? This is one reason I have to credit Randy Barnes, because all of the county has neglected to pursue what we lost. A few weeks ago, Mr. Brenneman asked me if it would be appropriate to ask for a councilmatic investigation. Home Rule Article 2, Section 1C7, and also Article 2, Section 5, inquiries and investigations, give us that authority to do that. We as council members need to do much more where these authorities are concerned. Is this happening everywhere in our authority structure? I'm becoming more and more disillusioned with the authorities we form. If, in the end, we can't receive the answers we need in an effort to collect our $3 million, then I will join Mr. Brenneman in asking for a councilmatic investigation. In conclusion, as previously stated, I will no longer be quiet about any issue involving county government. The next report is going to be about the Convention Center Authority. I have one other item that I'd like to express, and this is for you too, Randy. I can't believe anybody could have researched the issue involved with GEIDC and found that I didn't vote for that specific loan of $3 million. The only place even I could have found that issue is if I read the minutes of October 4th, 2005. I commend you, Randy, on your research ability. I would like to say that I was astute enough so as not to vote for the $3 billion loan. The reason was more, I got stung before and wasn't about to do it again. When the county adopted a concept called Erie County Technical Institution, and eventually it became Northwest Pennsylvania Technical Institute, and based on the community college concept, we had planned on helping businesses and enhancing economic development. I won't go into all the details, but eventually this was called Camtech. When the CEO of the institute we formed came to me and indicated their state reimbursements were short and they needed a loan of $2 million, I knew at that time that the state was slow, so I pushed to give them the loan. Guess what? The county ended up paying. I won't elaborate on this one, it's too lengthy. Randy, everybody makes mistakes. And if you don't, if you don't make mistakes, you can never learn. You know, just for everybody's edification, when this was over with, the audit from the Auditor General's office indicated that we owed the Pennsylvania Department of Education $16,407,958. And that's because we weren't vigilant enough to watch what was going on in that particular institute. In fact, if you read through this, you'll probably find very few individuals graduated with any kind of a degree with all of that money that was spent from Erie County and from also the Pennsylvania Department of Education. That was the reason why I didn't vote for the $3 million loan, Randy. So I just want you to know I wasn't exactly innocent in everything. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're quite welcome, Mr. Leon. Next, Ms. Fatika, do you have a report?
Yes, I do. And before I do my report, I just wanted to welcome all of you to my extended backyard here in Mill Creek. My colleagues and council and county government. And I want to thank everyone for being here. When my husband and I moved to Mill Creek in 1967, it didn't take us very long to find this little gem up here that was Asbury Woods, a little cottage and a small trail. And it has now grown to not just be that little gem, but really the crown jewel of Mill Creek. And I want to especially thank the folks from Asbury Woods with all the work that they've had to do, especially this past month, that they took the time to arrange this meeting. And I just want to extend a thank you to all of you for attending and for their work. So thank you. Now to go on with my report. On June 22nd, I attended the Erie Regional Airport Authority meeting, and it was reported at that time that an annual fire drill was conducted at the Erie International Airport, and it was successful. A special training plane is brought in and a propane fire is started. Local airport firefighters from other airports, as well as some local firefighters, respond and are trained during this drill. It was also discussed that American Airlines affiliate will soon implement jet service to and from Erie. And once they have all the staff trained, flights serving Erie International Airport are expected to increase. That concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilwoman Fatika. Councilwoman Law.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On the 9th of June, I attended the Erie Metropolitan Planning Commission meeting at the Admiral Room in the library. During the meeting, the changes to the bylaws were discussed, and there were a few small suggestions, but the actual changes and the real changes have been accepted by the majority. They have not voted on that. They will probably be doing that at their next meeting. The July meeting has been canceled, so the next meeting will be August 11th at the Headwaters Park. And I was unable to attend the last assessment board meeting due to the fact that I was out of town. On June 21st, I attended the meeting called to receive more information from ITC, the transporter of the DC electric line from Canada to Conneaut Township in Erie County. The meeting was very informative as to the way the trench will be dug across the lake and the depth of the line. The installation of the line will be mainly along public roads with construction easements from the property owners. Some of the owners do not want to lose trees that have matured and are part of their property landscaping. The main objection is the disturbance of the water table. It is very sandy and high, and the table is high in the area, and it could potentially be disturbed to the point that they will not have water. There is no public system in this area to connect to, so that could be a real problem. They are to contact Moody and Associates of Meadville at no expense to the property owners and get a baseline for their wells before construction happens. That will give them proof of the water supply in their properties. The other concern is the noise emitted from the converter station. At the loudest, it is to be 55 decibels with the emergency generator running. The more constant decibel level will be less than 50 dBA. On Thursday the 23rd, I attended the lilac tree dedication for our colleague and friend, Phil Fatika. Many of our other members and colleagues were there also, including Kathy, who spoke of her appreciation and gratitude. The tree will always be a symbol of the lasting memories that we will have for him. And thank you. That's the end of my report.
Thank you, Councilwoman Law. Councilman DiMatteo.
Yeah, just real briefly, and I guess I was going to say a couple things about EMTA, but just to maybe kind of piggyback on what the county executive had to say. Kathy, I mean, I can appreciate everything you've said, but as with all things with EMTA, you're almost preaching to the choir. You know, I mean, we've just gotten to the point where we can't negotiate with ourselves anymore. I guess I do disagree in the fact that I think we just need to walk away at this point. You know, and it's almost, well, I'm prophetic or not, as I watched the news last night and saw City Councilman Mr. Winarski on there, who said they've been planning for this for some time and seem to have the funds to do it. I guess, you know, tongue in cheek, not to make fun, but let them have at it then at this point. You know, I mean, it's I could show people in this room only, you know, I said, you know, a lot of these phone calls and texts and emails that I sent were very confidential, but when I tell you that I have probably spent well over 100 hours in conversations with members of City Council and other concerning, you know, possible things that we may be able to work out here, but again, at the end of the day, you know, I've said something needs to come from their end, and it's like out of a bad movie. Turn off the lights and cue the crickets, because again, we get nothing from over there. So it's a very unfortunate set of circumstances, but you know, here we are on June 28th, and the ordinance does say the 30th. I guess I'm in favor of moving that forward. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. And that concludes our reports of the elected officials. We'll move to old business under item 8. Mr. Smith, could I have the second reading of ordinance number 37 in title only, please?
The second reading of ordinance number 37, 2016. 2016 general fund budget waiver of the purchasing code to sell property ID number 14-010-045.0-409.00 and 14-010-045.0-408.00.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved by Dr. Faust and seconded by Councilman Brenneman. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
just very quickly, I understand Mr. Leon's comments. I know where he's coming from, but this particular instance is close enough to the instances where we have done this in the past, and that's why I feel comfortable going forward with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Faust. Any other discussion?
I already made my comments, so I'm not going to say too much, but I will say one thing. We've done many things in the past. Some of them have been mistakes, and hope we don't make those same mistakes again. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Roll call, please, Mr. Smith.
On ordinance number 37, Mr. DiMatteo.
Yes.
Mrs. Fatika.
Yes.
Dr. Faust,
Yes.
Mr. Leone,
No.
Mrs. Law,
Yes.
Mr. Brenneman,
Yes.
Chairman Horton,
Yes.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
move to amend tonight's agenda to include resolutions 33 and 34, which has been attached, distributed.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
It's been properly moved and seconded by Councilman Brenneman and seconded by Dr. Faust to amend our agenda as stated. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
on amending the agenda, Mrs. Fatika,
Yes.
Dr. Faust,
Yes.
Mr. Leone,
Yes.
Mrs. Law,
Yes.
Mr. Brenneman,
Yes.
Mr. DiMatteo,
Yes.
Chairman Horton,
Yes.
Mr. Chair, move to further amend tonight's agenda to move items A through G to second reading.
Second.
It's been properly moved by Councilman Brenneman, seconded by Dr. Faust to amend. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
on amending the agenda, Dr. Faust,
Yes.
Mr. Leone,
Yes.
Mrs. Law,
Yes.
Mr. Brenneman,
Yes.
Mr. DiMatteo,
Yes.
Mrs. Fatika,
Yes.
Chairman Horton,
Yes. Okay, so we're on to new business, item 9. Second reading of ordinance number 45 in title only, please, Mr. Smith.
A second reading of ordinance number 45 of 2016, second 2016 library fund budget, supplemental appropriation of $3,500 for donations for equipment and collections for Heritage Room and supplies for children's programs.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved by Councilman Brenneman, seconded by Councilman Leone. Any discussion? Roll call.
On ordinance 45, Mr. Leone,
Yes.
Mrs. Law,
Yes.
Mr. Brenneman.
Yes.
Mr. DiMatteo.
Yes.
Mrs. Fatika.
Yes.
Dr. Faust.
Yes.
Chairman Horton.
Yes. Second reading of ordinance number 46, 2016, please, Mr. Smith.
A second reading of ordinance number 46 of 2016, third 2016 library fund budget, supplemental appropriation of $13,000 for donations from Friends of the Library.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved by Councilman Leone, seconded by Councilwoman Fatika. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please, Mr. Smith.
On ordinance 46, Mrs. Law,
Yes.
Mr. Brenneman.
Yes.
Mr. DiMatteo.
Yes.
Mrs. Fatika.
Yes.
Dr. Faust.
Yes.
Mr. Leone.
Yes.
Chairman Horton.
Yes. Second reading of ordinance number 47 in title only, please.
A second reading of ordinance number 47 of 2016, fourth 2016 library fund budget, supplemental appropriation of $52,328 for 2015 funds carried over due to state budget impasse.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved by Councilman DiMatteo and seconded by Councilman Leone. Any questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
On ordinance 47, Mr. Brenneman.
Yes.
Mr. DiMatteo.
Yes.
Mrs. Fatika.
Yes.
Dr. Faust.
Yes.
Mr. Leone.
Yes.
Mrs. Law.
Yes.
Chairman Horton.
Yes. Second reading of ordinance number 48 in title only, please.
A second reading of ordinance number 48 of 2016, 2016 general fund budget, revised revenue and expenditures of $9,750 for Burn Justice Assistance Grant Program.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved by Dr. Faust, seconded by Councilman Leone. Any discussion? Roll call, please, Mr. Smith.
On ordinance 48, Mr. DiMatteo,
Yes.
Mrs. Fatika,
Yes.
Dr. Faust,
Yes.
Mr. Leone.
Yes.
Mrs. Law,
Yes.
Mr. Brenneman,
Yes.
Chairman Horton.
Yes. Second reading of ordinance number 49, 2016, please.
A second reading of ordinance number 49 of 2016, 20th 2016 general fund budget, Supplemental appropriation of $11,480 for PCCD Trauma-Related Services Grant.
So move.
Second.
It's been properly moved by Councilman Leon, seconded by Councilwoman Fatika. Any discussion? Roll call, please, Mr. Smith.
On ordinance 49, Mrs. Fatika,
Yes.
Dr. Faust,
Yes.
Mr. Leon,
Yes.
Mrs. Law,
I'm sorry, I was
Mrs.
asking
Law,
a question. I apologize, Mr. Law.
Mr. Brenneman,
Yes.
Mr. DiMatteo,
Yes.
Chairman Horton.
Yes. Second reading of ordinance number 50, 2016, please, Mr. Smith.
A second reading of ordinance number 50 of 2016 Public Safety Fund budget, revised expenditures of $45,207 and creation of new line items for per diem staff.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved by Councilman Brenneman, seconded by Councilman Leon. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
just very quickly, you know, a lot of the stuff that we've dealt with so far was pretty straightforward with grants, but the reason why this per diem staff line items being put into place is that, you know, public safety, these call takers, et cetera, it's a very stressful job. There's a lot of turnover, and hopefully we can actually recapture some of that expertise with this per diem and be able to deliver the service as it should be. So that's why we're going forward with it, and why we, again, an issue of timeliness, want to get it going right away. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Dr. Faust. Any other discussion? Roll call, please, Mr. Smith.
On ordinance 50, Dr. Faust,
Yes.
Mr. Leon,
Yes.
Mrs. Law,
Yes.
Mr. Brenneman.
Yes.
Mr. DiMatteo.
Yes.
Mrs. Fatika.
Yes.
Chairman Horton.
Yes. Second reading of ordinance number 51, 2016, in title only, please, Mr. Smith.
A second reading of ordinance number 51 of 2016 general fund budget, approval of starting salary for Director of Veterans Affairs.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved by Councilman Brenneman and seconded by Councilman DiMatteo. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Can I just ask one quick question before you, I'm sure you just went. Is the attached ordinance, did it change in some way from the original? That was the only reason why I didn't know it was attached tonight.
It was attached, Mr. Faust, because it wasn't on the agenda. On
Okay.
Thursday it was
All right.
added.
That's, I couldn't recall why it would have been. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Morgan and Brennan.
Councilman Brennan?
Mr. Chair, just a reminder, in 2014, during the budget deliberations, County Council agreed to create the Department of Veterans Affairs for the county. We were the only county out of the 67 that did not have an appropriate department. We had an office that was tucked under the Personnel Department. Not that office failed to do their work, but it was more a failure on our part to recognize the capability that counties have in addressing veteran issues and working with veterans in our community. So not only did we create the department, we did it in a unique way. We're one of a handful of counties nationwide out of the 3,000 plus counties that has elevated the new director position to the point where the director answers directly to the county executive. I believe that shows a very strong consideration and trust and feeling that we have towards that position. Next, I commend the administration for also identifying an individual for this position. Now, it has been some time, but the reason why we're amending, just for everyone's information, the reason why we're amending the salary to this position is that when we created the position, we just wanted to get that position created and put on the books, and so we set the salary at the lowest rate that was for that position. What we are amending it to is a range that is commensurate to other positions within the county for that level of responsibility, et cetera. And next to that, I think that moving forward, we will be able to not only catch up to other counties who have done some amazing work for the veterans in their county, bringing in millions of dollars for those veterans, helping them with the services, et cetera. But I believe that we will be able to put a name for ourselves in leveraging the assets and resources that veterans have in our community. Veterans who tend to vote more, who tend to volunteer more, who tend to donate more, and who tend to have greater experiences that would benefit our economy. I hope that as we move forward that we reach out to those military members before they transition out, and as they transition out, and work with the employers to create employment opportunities, to work with the hard-hit neighborhoods that need home ownership, and to help steer veterans to buying homes in some of these neighborhoods, and also to welcoming their families back to the region as well. I think that this, in essence, isn't just about, and I'll finish up shortly, this isn't just about, it's a soapbox, we talk about veterans, we were waiting on that. This isn't just about helping veterans. All too often, we talk about giving back to veterans, helping veterans, continuing the stereotype that veterans are broken, when veterans are very capable and they haven't proven to be so. And I believe that we as a county can recognize the asset that they are to our community, and that we can move forward and advance our region. So that is the only the short comment that I have on this matter, Mr. Chair.
Any other comments on this matter?
No, that's all.
Roll call, Mr. Smith.
On ordinance number 51, Mr. Leon,
Yes.
Mrs. Law,
Yes.
Mr. Brenneman.
Yes.
Mr. DiMatteo.
Yes.
Mrs. Fatika.
Yes.
Dr. Faust.
Yes.
Chairman Horton.
Yes. Item H, possible adoption of resolution number 27, please.
Resolution number 27, 2016, approving the appointment of deputy tax collector in LaBeouf Township.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded by Councilman DiMatteo and Dr. Faust. Any discussion? Roll call.
On resolution 27, Mrs. Law,
Yes.
Mr. Brenneman.
Yes.
Mr. DiMatteo.
Yes.
Mrs. Fatika.
Yes.
Dr. Faust.
Yes.
Mr. Leon.
Yes.
Chairman Horton.
Yes. Item I, possible adoption of resolution number 28, 2016, Mr. Smith.
Resolution number 28, 2016, a resolution extending the term of exemptions, deductions, abatements, and credits for real property, earned income tax, net profits, mercantile, and business privilege taxes within a specific geographic area in Erie County designated as a Keystone Opportunity Expansion Zone, KOEZ, or Keystone Opportunity Improvement Zone, KOIZ, in order to foster economic opportunities, stimulate industrial, commercial, and residential improvements, and prevent physical and infrastructure deterioration within areas of Erie County, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, upon certain terms and conditions.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved by Dr. Faust, seconded by Councilman Leon. Any dialogue?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Just for those that don't know, this is to extend the KOE zone for the Hammermill property. It actually came at the request of the governor ahead of when it was to expire, because they feel they have some good prospects to be able to develop there. One especially, which is sort of in competition with this site in Ohio. So anything we can do to try to get something down there, we have to do, and I encourage my colleagues to vote for it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please, Mr. Smith.
On resolution 28, Mr. Brenneman.
Yes.
Mr. DiMatteo.
Yes.
Mrs. Fatika.
Yes.
Dr. Faust.
Yes.
Mr. Leon.
Yes.
Mrs. Law.
Yes.
Chairman Horton.
Yes. Item J, possible adoption of resolution number 29, 2016, Mr. Smith.
Resolution number 29 of 2016, authorization to file application for funds with the Pennsylvania Department of Community Economic Development Emergency Shelter Grant Program in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded by Councilman Leon and Fatika. Any discussion? Roll call, please, Mr. Smith.
On resolution 29, Mr. DiMatteo.
Yes.
Mrs. Fatika.
Yes.
Dr. Faust.
Yes.
Mr. Leone,
Yes.
Mrs. Law,
Yes.
Mr. Brenneman,
Yes.
Chairman Horton.
Yes. Item K, possible adoption of resolution number 30, 2016.
Mr. Chair, could Mr. Smith read that in its entirety, please?
Yeah. Okay, possible adoption of resolution number 30, 2016. Could you read it in its entirety, please, Mr. Smith?
Resolution number 30 of 2016 in vigorous support of the Veterans Education Center project on the National Mall, Washington, D.C. Whereas construction is underway of a 35,000 square foot Veterans Education Center underground in the field adjacent to the Vietnam's Veterans Memorial Wall near the Lincoln Memorial, a healing place for friends and families of the lost. And whereas the Education Center at the Wall will feature photos and other details of the 58,282 service members killed as a result of the Vietnam War and the more than 6,600 killed in post-9/11 wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. And whereas a face or remembrance transforms a mere number into a person who lost a life and the many hopes and dreams they carried, bringing into the stark light of day the awful cost of freedom. And whereas preserving our stories requires more than place of remembrance, it requires a place of education and understanding. The sacrifices were made, the lessons of war that we have learned must never, never be forgotten. U.S. Secretary of Defense Leon Panetta. Now therefore be it resolved by the County Council of the County of Erie that all who value freedom join in the supporting the efforts of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Foundation to fund the Education Center at the Wall project, so the memory of the 66 known Erie County citizens who lost their lives in Vietnam, Iraq, and Afghanistan may be held through the passages of time in this edifice to the sacrifice of war.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved by Councilman Brenneman, seconded by Dr. Faust. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I have to commend Commissioner Paul Heimel of Potter County. He's a colleague of mine on the CCAP's Veteran and Military Affairs Committee. He also represents Pennsylvania on the NACO, National Association of Counties, Board of Military and Veteran Affairs, along with myself. There's a national movement in order to identify the photos and life stories, veterans, particularly those of the Vietnam War, who gave their lives. And over the next couple of weeks, in working with the Vietnam Veterans Association in Erie, we'll be announcing, and with the VA Medical Center in Erie, we'll be announcing a formal effort in order to get the public and the community involved in order to find the photographs of the nearly 1/3 of Vietnam servicemen that served from Erie County, whose story is sadly not told yet. And so we'll be announcing that within the next couple weeks, but I appreciate the support of my colleagues.
Thank you. Thank you, Jay. Any other discussion? Roll call, please, Mr. Smith.
On Resolution 30, Mrs. Fatika,
Yes.
Dr. Faust,
Yes.
Mr. Leone,
Yes.
Mrs. Law,
Yes.
Mr. Brenneman,
Yes.
Mr. DiMatteo.
Yes.
Chairman Horton.
Yes. Possible adoption of resolution number 31, 2016. Could you read it in its entirety also, Mr. Smith?
Resolution number 31, 2016, resolution of Erie County to withdraw from the EMTA as a member municipality. Whereas on September 14, 1966, the County of Erie and the City of Erie as member municipalities jointly incorporated and established the Erie Metropolitan Transit Authority under the Municipal Authorities Act as amended Act 2000, June 19, Pennsylvania Document 287, number 22, Section 1, 53 PA CSA at Sec 5604, hereinafter the Act. And whereas the term of existence of the Erie Metropolitan Transit Authority, hereafter EMTA, is set to expire on September 14, 2016. And whereas over the past 50 years, the demographics of the County of Erie have significantly changed, the population of the City of Erie has steadily declined, the populations of Mill Creek and Harbor Creek Townships have steadily increased, business and economic development has spread beyond the city limits, while the city of Erie has controlled the EMTA by confining its transportation services, endeavors, and potential to the city of Erie. And whereas over the past 25 years, the County of Erie has made significantly more contributions to EMTA than the City of Erie, without a corresponding benefit to the municipalities located outside the City of Erie. And whereas the County of Erie signified its desire to acquire the assets and assume the obligations of EMTA, and in doing so, requested the EMTA to cooperate with the transfer of assets to the County of Erie. And whereas the county has disputed the city's control of EMTA, the City of Erie has refused to meet with the county has signified its intention to withdraw unless agreement is reached with the City of Erie by June 30, 2016, and no agreement has been reached between the County of Erie and the City of Erie. Now therefore, pursuant to the Municipal Authorities Act of 2001, June 19, PL 287, number 22, section 1, as amended 53 PA CSA, section 5604, County Council of the County of Erie does hereby direct the publication of notice of Erie County's intent to withdraw from the EMTA as a member municipality one time in the Erie County Legal Journal, Erie County Times News, and not less than 3 days after publication of the notice, does hereby authorize and direct the completion and filing of the application to withdraw from EMTA with the Secretary of the Commonwealth.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved by Dr. Faust and seconded by Councilwoman Fatika. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Just very quickly, I really don't consider adopting this resolution walking away from the EMTA issue. It really is just the next step in the process that if we are going to ultimately do that, this needs to be in place. Much like with the Mill Creek resolution coming up, discussions can continue, hopefully continue anyway, to try to find some reasonable solution between now and then. I want to assure the public that even though we've received criticism for not attending one meeting, and that there's been maybe a lack of understanding of how much discussion has gone on, I know I have. I know a couple other members of council, if not all in some way, have had our own private discussions with members of city council to try to prod them into some sort of reasonable compromise. Obviously not successful up to this point, but even after tonight, I will not give up on those discussions until the final time comes where we are either going to withdraw or stay in. And to me, this isn't about control. That's an easy word to use because it's easily understood. But to me, if you are going to fully fund, or if you're going to fund at all, it should be proportional, your representation on these boards as to what you fund. Funding equals accountability. And if the County of Erie, county government, is going to fund EMTA, they have to be able to have the accountability of the board. I don't think anybody else would want it any other way. And the best way to achieve representation for all of Erie County, much like this body right here, identical to this body right here, is having one representative from each council district. That is the fairest way and the easiest way to do that. And I will not give up on trying to achieve that process in the end, and I hope my colleagues don't either. Again, just because we pass this resolution tonight does not mean the process has ended. It just means we've taken another step in the process. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Dr. Faust.
Mr. Chair, from the get-go, the issue of EMTA charter, the county has been very transparent and communicative with the public, with city government, and anyone else from the beginnings when the county executive had provided some ideas. If anybody is really interested, you can look at 6 months worth of meeting minutes from EMTA before it landed on either city council or county council's laps. You can check the Go Erie, Erie Times News, and WICU, who covered stories and interviewed both council from county and city, and the county executive as well, before city council adopted the 50-year charter. They knew going into the issue that there was some concerns, but since then we've had this conversation with ourselves. We've been negotiating our thoughts and ideas, and has evolved on this. Every time that we were met with silence and stonewalling, we presented or provided other ideas. And since then, again, more silence. But now we have to find by way of media that the mayor has, and a couple members of city council, has a plan. They have not been forthright or transparent or communicative in providing the details of that plan. That concerns me not only as a as an elected official representing a partner municipality of the EMTA, but it concerns me as a citizen of Erie. I worry because here is a city that I live in and I call home, and my kids are going to be raised in, and currently are, that they can't even afford fireworks, and I don't think they fully grasp their next move on this. But in the light of that, if they believe that they have a plan, even though they don't wish to share that with anybody, I believe that they should have the room to explore that plan and to discuss it and to present it as necessary. I would like to note for the public and everybody else that I did go to the last city council meeting. I did speak. It's available on their YouTube channel. I did offer to bury the hatchet of any hard feelings that may have been before. And I expressed once again publicly in this time, as I have before, and also as many times privately as we all have, in hoping to negotiate and address this issue. While that has continued to go on in private conversations, I believe that there is still hope, hopefully, on that, particularly as city council members realize the true cost of what they may do, even though they don't know exactly what they're doing, or they haven't told anybody where they're going with that. With that, as a social worker, I'd have to say that the issue here probably has nothing to do with control. I really think that city council, as they have expressed, and the mayor as well, that's more of an issue of loss of importance in the region. It has happened again every time that they've noted the Civic Center and any other thing that has been funded that regionally, be it the library service, airport, etc., that they feel that the city has lost some sense of power and influence in the region. And even though that every service that the county provides has only expanded services for our urban residents, and even though our border does not stop at city limits, and even though our county seat is in downtown Erie, I think that it's gone past them, and I think they really, again, are wanting to, at the detriment to the taxpayers of the city of Erie, I believe that they are wanting to exert some last vestige of power and influence on the region by the board appointments of a independent authority. And that concludes my discussion on that, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Well, I'll take a moment. Saddened that we've arrived here after a year of constant trying to negotiate or reach out to our city counterparts, when really there were two very basic elements at hand. One being the length of the contract. No one in their right mind, I would hope, would not even entertain signing another 50-year contract. I don't think that I personally would consider myself a good steward of the public trust to even have such a discussion. We've throughout terms of 20 years, I was thinking more like 5 or 10. The other basic principle that we've maintained throughout our repeated attempts at negotiating is that as long as the funding equation remains the same for local match, the board composition can't. Unfortunately, the last meeting I've had with Deputy Secretary Favre at the governor's office with Ms. Thomas and Chairman Mirsky and myself, the mayor was adamant about not discussing board seats whatsoever. He didn't attend the meeting. He sent word by Mr. Favre that he would not be interested in any discussion that involved board composition. And so here we are at this dilemma. I still remain hopeful, whether we take this action or not, September 14th is looming large. I'm concerned that I don't think that the citizens are getting accurate information from the city solicitor, and that there seems, I keep hearing repeated by the Times News, that they can operate for 5 years after the charter ends here in September, despite all indications that that simply isn't true. And so here we are, and we're going to vote this up or down. I'm very, very proud of my colleagues and the position that you've taken and supported, and looking out not only for the citizens in your respective jurisdictions, but for all of the 280,000 Erie County residents, many who depend on the bus. And as someone who caters to a large part of my district, where probably upwards of 60% don't have driver's license. Many of the residents who reside in my district depend on the bus, and they depend on me to stand up and to make decisions, oftentimes tough decisions like this. Repeatedly, the city counterparts have indicated to me that they have no understanding of the issue whatsoever, and that they persist, that they have some sort of equity in it, despite the EMTA being an autonomous authority. And so at the end of the day, the bottom line is you cannot negotiate by yourself. And so if there being no other further discussion from my colleagues, I call for the roll call. Mr. Smith.
On Resolution 31, Dr. Faust,
Yes.
Mr. Leone,
Yes.
Mrs. Lahl,
Yes.
Mr. Brenneman.
Yes.
Mr. DiMatteo.
Yes.
Mrs. Fatica,
Yes.
Chairman Horton.
Yes. Item M, possible adoption of resolution number 32, 2016. Could you read that in its entirety also, Mr. Smith?
Resolution number 32, 2016, resolution to challenge the tax-exempt status of Mill Creek Community Hospital. Whereas on May 21, 2012, Erie County entered into an agreement with Mill Creek Health System, Inc. and its affiliates, including Mill Creek Community Hospital, hereinafter LECOM Health, in which Erie County agreed not to challenge the tax-exempt status of properties owned by LECOM Health for a 5-year period in exchange for a sum of $500,000. And whereas the agreement entered into between the county and LECOM Health is set to expire this December 31, 2016, and whereas the county has intervened in 3 separate cases pending in the Court of Common Pleas of Erie County, in which LECOM Health has appealed several decisions of the Board of Assessment Appeals, which denied LECOM Health's application for tax exemption of properties developed or acquired by LECOM Health subsequent to the agreement entered into with the county on May 21, 2012. And whereas the records, documents, tax returns, and other information generated in connection with the capital and operating budgets of Mill Creek Community Hospital are relevant to the above-mentioned tax appeals filed by LECOM Health and pending in the Court of Common Pleas of Erie County. And whereas LECOM Health as well as Mill Creek Community Hospital, notwithstanding their mission or purpose, are not institutions of purely public charity, now therefore be resolved by the County of Erie shall file a petition with the Board of Assessment Appeals to challenge the tax-exempt status of Mill Creek Community Hospital. Be it further resolved that Thomas S. Tallarico Esquire, on behalf of the County of Erie, shall petition the Board of Assessment Appeals to challenge the tax-exempt status of Mill Creek Community Hospital.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved by Dr. Faust and seconded by Councilman Brenneman. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead. I just, very quickly, to sort of reiterate what I said earlier, I fully understand the concerns of the members of the council that maybe want to wait a month. I don't think the dynamic of the argument really changes much by passing this resolution tonight, so I would encourage them to vote this up. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
You know, when I come into this meeting this evening, in fact, I talked to a couple other members of council, and I was prepared to table this, but after listening to our solicitor, I really see no reason in tabling it. We're still going to continue to negotiate with LECOM regardless of what goes on, whether we have a solicitor or not. And I think that, passing the resolution doesn't mean that we may not come to an agreement. We may come to an agreement even if we don't agree with maybe what our own solicitor tells us to go with. So that's the reason why I'm going to vote for this.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I guess a lot of this started with some of the information that I got over the weekend and forwarded to Mr. Tallarico. And I mean with the utmost sincerity that I love Mr. Tallarico like my brother, but at the same time, my brother and I don't always agree on everything either, and sometimes those make the best discussions. As I understand what everyone on council has said as well, everything we do is for a reason and to send a message. And the same reason that we just passed the last resolution with EMTA is to make everyone aware of where we stand and maybe quote unquote draw the line in the sand. I would be the last person to say that we should be exonerating taxes or letting anyone have a free ride within the city of Erie, but at the same time too, my fear is that passing this sends a message to LECOM, who has been a very good steward within the city of Erie as far as the development and the things that they have done just within the past 10 or 15 years. My day job is housing. The company I work for, we build homes. I can tell you with absolute certainty, the expansion of LECOM has done quite a bit for the Erie community as far as economic development. I guess, for a month, which would still give us the August 1st window, to do so, I think that gives us time to possibly negotiate. I will say, I wish that on Thursday at the meeting, when Tom did bring up the fact that I think, and I'm trying to not quote, but come very close, Tom said that, LECOM doesn't have a pilot or has never negotiated a pilot. Something to that effect. I wish, Jim, you were there. I wish someone would have said, hey, wait a minute. You know what? That's not 100% true, and we have had some talks, and maybe we're not here discussing what we're discussing tonight. So I guess, just to my point, I would make the motion now that we table this going forward, at least
I'll
for the
second
month.
that.
It's been properly moved and seconded. We have a motion on the table. It's been properly moved and seconded that we table it. Roll call, Mr. Smith?
To table Resolution 32, Mr. Leone,
No.
Mrs. Law,
Yes.
Mr. Brenneman,
No.
Mr. DiMatteo,
Yes.
Mrs. Fatika,
Yes.
Dr. Faust,
No.
Chairman Horton.
No.
Motion fails.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Just very quickly, to further discuss the resolution. I don't disagree with anything with Ed said. And I will say this publicly now. If we can get a pilot agreement that is on par with what we do to other like institutions, I'm willing to vote for that. Because I don't want LECOM to feel that they're being picked on in some way, but right now we don't have that type of agreement in place. I hope we can get there very quickly, and if we do, I'm willing to fully consider that and adopt it if it's on par. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I came here with the intent on table and voting to table that too, but after speaking with our solicitor, it appeared to me that it didn't have to be either or. I think the message of everyone's worried about the perception that what LECOM thinks, but I'm not worried about what LECOM thinks. I'm worried about what LECOM pays. And so if we can reach some type of agreement, this really becomes a moot point. And I didn't see why we couldn't do both simultaneously.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I would just like to add that I will not vote in favor of the resolution, but I think it really needs to be understood that, again, I do believe that LECOM needs to pay taxes. I just don't believe this resolution needs to be taken care of this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? No further discussion. Roll call, please, Mr. Smith.
On Resolution 32, Mrs. Law,
No.
Mr. Brenneman,
Yes.
Mr. DiMatteo,
No.
Mrs. Fatika,
No.
Dr. Faust,
Yes.
Mr. Leone,
Yes.
Chairman Horton.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Move to approve the reappointments of Elspeth Coley and Mary Scatella to the Erie County Library Board.
Second.
It's been properly moved by Dr. Faust and seconded by Mr. Leon. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Just very quickly, regarding the comments that the county executive made earlier, I made it crystal clear why I was not voting, bringing Mrs. Rosdick's appointment forward. She's an employee of the county. We have to stay away from that. The one example that we did recently was Mr. Shillo. The only reason why I really didn't balk at that point is he was an interim employee. He's no longer an employee of Erie County. So I don't consider that a rumor. I stated it publicly in a public meeting. And I will direct Doug and Danae now to bring forward, to draft actually an ordinance preventing county employees from serving on county boards and authorities at our next finance meeting. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor. Did we get a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded by Dr. Faust and Councilman Brenneman. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
On the appointments, Mr. Brenneman,
Yes.
Mr. DiMatteo.
Yes.
Mrs. Fatika,
Yes.
Dr. Faust,
Yes.
Mr. Leon,
Yes.
Mrs. Law,
Yes.
Chairman Horton.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
move to approve the sale of parcels from a repository for unsold properties according to the index numbers listed in our agenda tonight.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded by Dr. Faust and Councilman Leon. Any discussion? Roll call, please, Mr. Smith.
On the sale of parcels, Mr. DiMatteo,
Yes.
Mrs. Fatika,
Yes.
Dr. Faust,
Yes.
Mr. Leon,
Yes.
Mrs. Law,
Yes.
Mr. Brenneman,
Yes.
Chairman Horton.
Yes. Yeah. Resolution number 33, title only.
Resolution number 33, 2016, approving the independent auditor's report of Erie County by Mayor Dussel, certified public accountants for the calendar year ending December 31, 2015.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded by Councilman Brenneman, Councilman Leon. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, does Mr. Maloney wish to comment at all on the audit process so far?
No, this is the audit report that you went over in May.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please, Mr. Smith.
On Resolution 33, Mrs. Fatika,
Yes.
Dr. Faust,
Yes?
Mr. Leon,
Yes.
Mrs. Law,
Yes.
Mr. Brenneman,
Yes.
Mr. DiMatteo,
Yes.
Chairman Horton.
Yes. Resolution number 34, 2016. Please, Mr. Smith.
Resolution number 34, 2016, appointment of auditors to perform an audit of the Erie County Health Choices Program for the fiscal year of July 1, 2015 to June 30, 2016.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved by Councilman Brenneman, seconded by Councilman Leon. Any discussion?
Mr. Horton, I would ask again, Mr. Maloney.
In 2013, we requested proposals on doing this audit. As part of that proposal, we put in the proposal that if the county chooses, they will reappoint the auditors for another 4 years. This would have been the third year of that appointment of those 4 years. And so they have done a job, a good enough job. I don't think there's any issues with health choices. So we'll request that they be reappointed. The increase in fees is about 2%, which is what we've been finding.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
On Resolution 34, Dr. Faust,
Yes.
Mr. Leon,
Yes.
Mrs. Law,
Yes.
Mr. Brenneman,
Yes.
Mr. DiMatteo,
Yes.
Mrs. Fatika,
Yes.
Chairman Horton.
Yes.
Move to adjourn, Mr.
Meeting adjourned. Well, you guys make me have these long meetings.